Any question, guys? Do you have any questions? The question is, when will this get easier? You're asking the wrong person, man, because I'm one of those who really get frustrated. But only thing I'll say, whether it gets easier or not, that's because the topic, you will always come across new topics, but there are definitely accomplishment more you learn, and definitely incentive more you learn. That for sure. You know, one thing is definitely you start to understand the Quran a lot more and appreciate. And then also, the more further you go, when the whole Arabic language opens up, that's when you really feel it wasn't about making it easy. It was all about making it happen, right? So that this door opens up. Yes, I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's not. One of the reasons is because we're not in the Arab speaking country, right? That's number one. And I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, when you go to the Arab country to study, you would be put in program that they where you have to spend 4 hours at minimum a day for 5 to 6 days a week. You know, so that is probably our what one day would be almost like more than a month of the way we are going, something like that, right? So we got to put a lot of time. That's the thing. Jade. So we were talking about idafa, right? The concept of the possessive what possessive phrase. So this is something that we started talking about, right? And we said in Arabic we call it idafa, and this is one of important terms you have to know. And the idafa is also very, very powerful and extensively used in the language. More you see them, and you will see we use idafa in many different ways. One of them, of course, we get the possession, right? Something belongs to someone, and we use idafa for some other purpose as well. Inshallah, if we have time, I'll explain. And as you know, for example, if we say mercy of Allah, and in English we know this is possessive phrase, right? So this is belongs to, so that means what we are saying, that this noun, the mercy, belongs to Allah, meaning we're talking about the mercy that belongs to Allah. So we're not talking about any mercy. Mercy can belong to someone else, like you can, the mercy of my mother, mercy of the teacher, you know. So here, when we put in this structure, we are talking about the mercy which belongs to Allah. Okay, so it has that belonging elements, right? And as you can see, we have two nouns. And by the way, the mercy is not an adjective. Merciful might be an adjective. We have two nouns, and we are linking them. We are linking them using what? Linking them using of. And that's how we understand uh, you know, possessive phrases in English. And I think they have different names, like, for example, I don't know, the first one they might say, I have to think about. So this one, they will say linked to, because you're linking this noun, linked, you know, I'll because this is very hard to find a good term in English for these two nouns. So we have one noun which is linked to the other noun which is linked to. I think your book, the book that we're using, I think he used these two phrases to explain this relationship, right? So we're linking this mercy to the word Allah. Okay, so that's why we're linking. And why I'm going more in details here, because that's precisely actually what's happening with the idafa, right? We have two nouns. One of them would be linked to the another noun. Okay, so we have idafa. So we said it has two different nouns, just like linked and linked in. And it's kind of, you know, the concept is the same, right? We said mudaf. What is mudaf, by the way? This comes from the verb adafa, meanings to add. You know, something idafa means to add, like additional, like you add something, right? So that means something that is added. So mudaf is something that is added, which is linked, right? And added to what? The linked to would be mudaf. How do you, I think we learned how to say ila. Sorry, I'm giving you the answer. How do we say to? I'm going to the masjid. So to is ila. So mudaf, ila. And then who, inshallah, will learn that ilaihi, it means to it. Mudaf ilaihi. Okay, so mudaf and mudaf ilaihi. So you understand? So we need these two nouns. Otherwise, we can't create any possessive phrase, nor can we create idafa. We need to have one noun that we attribute to the another one in order to make this relationship. Right? In English, as we said, it's very simple. If you are using the of construction, just bring the of in the middle, and we make this we make this construction. And I told you we can also express the same meaning using apostrophe s, right? Something like that, right? But remember what I said, the best thing to do if we have apostrophe s, you convert into of. Why? Because you will see in once you do that, it is very easy to think from Arabic language perspective. It's very easy to compare the two. Why? Because the order remains the same in Arabic. Okay, so the first one is linked, which is mudaf, and second one is mudaf ilay. So let me put them in correct order. So the mudaf would be mercy. By the way, so how do we say mercy? What is the word for mercy in Arabic? Rahma, excellent. Yes, rahma. So the mudaf would be rahma, rahma. And what is the word the noun is being linked to? It would be Allah. Very simple. You understand? So now we have the same words that we have in English. We translated them and we have them in the correct order. So the first one is mercy and second one is Allah. We have the Rahma and Allah. So now the way we do this relationship in English is by simply using of. And then now we started talking about last time, how do we do, or how do we make this relationship in what? In Arabic, which we said what? The first thing we said, who can give me the rule for the mudaf? Anything, it doesn't have to be in order. What do we know? Don't take tanween. Okay, so good. No tanween. Okay, anything else? After you give me all the rules, then I'll try to make it and you tell me if I got it wrong. All right. Anything else I should be aware of? No al. Okay, so no al. Looks like interesting. Good. Anything from the mudaf? Anything we should know about mudaf ilay? Always rough what? The mudaf? Okay, so always, yes. Always rough, marfu. Yes, I'm writing what you're saying. So then we'll discuss. Rough means, I'll just write right now dhamma, so if you can understand what we're talking about. So you're saying the mudaf always dhamma. Kasra that you're saying, which noun does it go to? Should I write it here or here? Mudaf ilay. Okay, so kasra in the mudaf ilay. Okay, so fine. Good. Okay, kasra. Okay, interesting, interesting. So you're telling me, let me see, is there anything else? Should I start working on it? Because I'm going to make the phrase and then you correct me if I'm right or wrong. So let me try what you have. I'll say rahma, rahma, no tanween, because sister told me that mercy is rahmatun, rahma, which is mean rahmatun, right? Rahmatun. Okay, no tanween. So I say rahmatu. Excellent. I think I got it. I'm not using alif lam. Okay, so always dhamma. Okay, so I'm putting the dhamma. Second one is Allah. I have to put kasra. Okay, I put kasra. Rahmatullahi. Yes. You guys give me the rules. Now you cannot correct me. Yes. It looks like I followed everything. Yes. Alhamdulillah. So that means I have my first idafa. Rahmatullahi, the mercy of Allah. Yes, excellent. This is good. But I have a little bit problem with one issue. So for example, if I say to the mercy of Allah. So uh, so we got this part right? We just constructed idafa rahmatullah, but I want to say to ila, whatever the context is, I want to say ila. Now what do I do? Everything is fine. Ila rahmatullahi. No, this is not good. Yes, this is not good. Rahmatillahi. Yes. So because the ila came, we cannot have the dhamma here. It would be ila rahmatillahi. So only problem I have is with this one. This understanding, I have a problem. Okay, so don't think this is part of the rule. The first one is not always raf. It's not always dhamma. First word will change according to the rules that we're learning, when to put fatha, when to put dhamma, and when to put kasra. You understand? We learn the rule that we put kasra after what? Preposition, right? Well, I have a preposition. The first one will follow your standard rule. Whether it gets dhamma or kasra or fatha, it depends on the standard rule that we're learning. You understand? For example, if I want to say the mercy of Allah, the mercy of Allah is wide. So what is wide? So you understand? So this is a sentence. The mercy of Allah is wide, because you see is and you know it is what? A sentence. So from English language perspective, we know the mercy of Allah, this whole thing is what? Subject or predicate. The whole thing is your subject. I mean, you can just think about the mercy is subject, but then of they're connected. So, you know, you understand? And the wide is predicate. Yes? What is wide? How do you say wide? Did I give you this word? Anybody know how to say wide? It's also a very good word. Wasi'un. Wasi'un. Okay? Wasi'un is wide. So now to make it into a sentence, what do we have to do? I already have the mercy of Allah. So we say Rahma. I'm not going to put any, what do you call the grammar right now? Rahmatullah. This one, I understand as you're saying that it will always be kasra. So I'm putting a kasra. Rahmatullahi, what? Wasi'. Now, can I say wasi'un? This is our mubtada. And this is khabar. Guys, you cannot forget the previous rule, then things will be piling up. So is everything good? Yes, DI, yes, that's good. D and I, okay, fine, this is fine. But whatever gender, the gender didn't match, right? So Rahma has tamarbuta and the wasi doesn't have tamarbuta. Okay, so this is something that you have to understand. I didn't want to bring this one up with another one, but something we cannot forget our previous rules also, right? So it would be wasi'atun. But here now, my question is, because don't worry about this one, inshallah, I think you will get it. My main thing is like, I'm trying to teach you, what do we put here? It will come from the knowledge that we know about when to put dhamma, fatha, and kasra. So here we have the same thing. What do I put here? Huh? What do I put here in the first word? Rahma, what? Ta, tu, ti, tu. Why do we put tu? because it goes back here. It goes back here. What gets Dhamma? The subject gets Dhamma and the predicate gets Dhamma. We put kasra after preposition and the second word of idafa, right? We're learning this. And we also know when to put Dhamma. We put Dhamma when something is subject and something is predicate. You see? You understand? So when something is in a sentence, you have to know the reason why you're putting the grammar. If you're just saying it just without any context, that's when I will say you can use the word default. You're saying without any context. You just want to say mercy of Allah. You know, there's no context, there's no sentence. At that time, you can think about the default is Dhamma. I have no problem, right? You can say Rahmatullahi. Okay, no problem. But when you put in a sentence right now, you know, we are learning a little bit more issue when to put a Dhamma and when to put a Fatha and Kasra. Okay, so here, because we learned that the Mubtada and Khabar, the subject and predicate, both of them gets a Dhamma. So this word, what I'm trying to explain to you guys, is very important that you understand. The first word of Idafa, its I'rab, its grammar is always based on the context. Okay, if it's a subject, it will get a Dhamma. If it is a predicate, it will get a Dhamma. If it's after preposition, it will get a Kasra. If it's an object of a verb, it will get a Fatha, and all the things that we are learning. So I'm spending a lot of time because so that you understand this is not the case. The first one will be, in fact, we should write it. I should write this. Grammar is according to what? According to what? Location on the sentence, or yeah, I'll just, you understand what I mean. And according to the location in the sentence. Yeah, in the sentence. Okay, so that's why when we have ila, well, now its situation is changing, which we just learned that after ila we better put a kasra. But what you're saying, this is true. The second word will always be in like majrur, genitive, kasra state. That is true. So that is the situation. But then remember, I mentioned sometimes that it mostly, but that's not the, in the beginning, this really helps. Mostly it will be definite. And here it will mostly be indefinite. And remember, this is what I mean. And that helps you to identify idafa very easily. When you have indefinite and definite, then you have idafa. You understand? One thing I will explain, that by and large, idafa are definite. Okay, by and large, idafa, it will be definite. So when we say, it's a little bit important, but also might be a little bit tricky. If I say kitabullahi, I can write book of Allah, book of Allah, but my English teacher will ask me to say, okay, can you put your article? So I cannot say a and the, I got to pick something. So what am I going to pick? So here, the expression when you say kitabullahi, this is definite. You'll say the book of Allah. For example, if I say Baytur Rajul, Baytur Rajuli, Baytur Rajuli, how do I say it? The house of the man. Not a house of the man, the house of the man. So it will be the house of the man. So this is something that you have to understand. Make sense? So if that's the case, now you know why this is a sentence, as Sister Farhana said, the D and I. How did we get D and I? Because the first one looks like indefinite. Okay, and then predicate is indefinite. Shouldn't it be an adjective phrase? Indefinite and indefinite, and the gender is matching. But when you look at the whole idafa, so you have to know which one is idafa. You always have to see, if it's part of idafa now. Right now, if it was like that, rahmatun, then this word is by itself. As soon as you see the rahmatu, rahmatullahi, this is part of idafa. So when you know this is idafa, this is your definite. Make sense? And that's why you can construct a sentence by D and I. So for example, if I want to say the boy's pen is, I'm giving a very simple thing, small, whatever that means. The boy's pen is small. See, a few things you have to know how to look at it. Number one, the boy's pen, this is idafa, right? You should be able to recognize. And if you understand, because this is a possessive. And the first thing you should do if you're thinking about translating, you need to change that into of. So you say the pen of the boy is small. You see? So now the whole thing, of course, is your subject, and the small is your predicate. This much, inshallah, I think you guys understand. And now the question is it a definite? Yes, it is definite. The pen of the boy. Okay, when English is definite anyway, because we're saying the. So in Arabic, what do we say? Qalamu, qalamu, qalamul waladi, what? Saghirun. So this mudaf and mudaf ilay makes it into definite. Although the main thing that I want you to think, although you look like the first word, the column looks like indefinite, which you're right, it does look like indefinite, but the idafa together makes it into definite. And then you have indefinite, and we have D plus I equal to sentence. So let me open our book. Okay, unit number 10. Yes. See, I told you they're using the term linked and linked to whatever. I'm not, it's not learn mudaf ilay. The first one is mudaf, second one is mudaf ilay. These are the better terms. Okay, see here, they're also using mudaf and mudaf ilay. So you want to say the night of power. We read this surah all the time. Laylatul Qadr. So Layla is the night, which we learn Layl and Layla. Al-Qadr is the power. Now, Qadr has many different meanings. Some might translate as a power. Some might translate as destiny. The Qadr, it doesn't matter. This is not the concern. Whichever meaning you make, it is idafa. Laylatul Qadri. See, it is Rabbun Nas. If you look at here, if you can read it, you have Rabbun Nasi. So this is your idafa. Can you recognize idafa? Yes, you should be able to recognize idafa, right? The first one is indefinite, in terms of looking, and second one looks like definite. So we have idafa. So here you cannot say rabbun. We can say rabbun. I cannot put a tanween and I cannot put alif lam. But what's happening here is precisely what I just explained to you before. Now we have B. B is what? Preposition. What happens after preposition? So now you tell me, what should I put here in the ba? I have to put kasra. So we learned that after preposition, we get a kasra. So I have to say Rabbin Nas. So this is the situation. But here, nothing happens. This one is fixed. Fixed in a sense that we always put kasra, meaning it always in genitive case. Okay. Okay, these things are a little bit complicated. Maybe inshallah I'll explain later, not now. Let's see if we can do some. Yes, I already explained to you, right, what happens. But this Bismillah, I want to spend more time talking about this one. So look at this one. Translate this one first. Think about there's no context, so you can for right now you can think Yawmuddin. That what is deen? That's why I wanted to get the real meaning of the deen. What is deen? What is a deen? Yes, the day of religion. Yes, but that's exactly. But here, Allah, remember, the day of judgment has a lots of name. So one of them is Yawmuddin, the day of judgment. A literal translation would be the day of the religion. Now you guys all translating with off. So I already know that you know this is an idafa. It looks like first one looks like indefinite, second one looks like definite. These are only to help you identify idafa. Okay, inshallah, if I have time, I will explain some exception, but only thing is that I don't want to give you too much exception in this stage, but I might mention something. Look at these two phrases and tell me if you can identify some difference. That's one of the things that I want you guys to think about. Look at these two, first one and the second one. Tell me what is the first one and tell me what is the second one. What type of phrases are they? So you see the difference. The first one, you look like all of them are matching. So you should be thinking about adjective perspective. You know, these are the base, you know, sometimes there are always exception. And here you kind of see the difference. The first one is indefinite, second one is definite. So inshallah, I think this will help you to identify which one is, because now we are getting more different types of phrases. We have adjective phrase, we have idafa phrase, and we also have what? Prepositional phrase. Okay, so things are going to pile up. So we have to kind of understand them. So this one, what do you think? This is ilah. What is ilah? Ilah is God. Ilah, here the context, because it's going from the before, so that's why we have kasra, but we say ilahun nas means the God of the mankind. Okay, so this is coming from the other context, that's why you're getting the kasra. You understand? So here, was this word is also very important. Did I give you this word? It's evil. Okay, and al was. Did I give you all was? Was is whisper. It kind of sound like it, doesn't it? Right? So when you look at these two words together, the evil of the whisper or whisperer. Okay, so now we have a mean, and that's why it getting kasra. Okay, you see, all of the rules are happening. And why do we have a kasra here? We have a kasra because this is the second word of idafa. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you one word. I'll pick one word and I'll ask you why it has a kasra and you have to answer. Okay. Why do we have kasra here? This kasra. Okay, good. Excellent. This kasra is because of adjective phrase. Nice. Okay. Why do I have a kasra here? Yes, it's preposition. Okay, so why do I have a kasra here? This is your preposition, right? So please make sure you understand your this word. This word can be, don't underestimate. If you overlook it, you will miss the preposition. And if you miss the preposition, you know, the meaning can, yes, this is your preposition, this is the noun. You will miss the meaning. Excellent, guys, excellent. And one thing I'll just quickly mention at first, I'm going to ask you, why do I have a kasra here? And then I'll just quickly mention this one. Huh? Why do I have a kasra here? You can explain different ways because I didn't talk about this one. I just want you to think. Okay, I'm going to go one by one, whatever you answered, to see if it makes sense or not. One of them was that you said it is adjective, meaning it is adjective phrase. Is it? Is that how we build an adjective phrase? We say, you know, with and, wow. No, we didn't learn like this. Even in English, we cannot say she is a beautiful and girl. You know, as soon as you say and, because wow is, we talked about wow is and, so we have wow here. So it's not going to be the case. It's not going to be adjective. And we have idafa. Well, honestly, there's no idafa here, right? But if you said it is because of harful jar, somebody said harful jar, so this also would not make. Who can tell me why? Which is true, because we have harful jar, we have preposition. So who can tell me why it's not for preposition? Because that's the only thing that kind of makes sense here. But why not? I need to hear this answer because I repeated it so many times. Why do you think, even though we have a preposition words, but this one, you understand that this one is got the kasra because of me. I'm pretty sure everybody's getting it. But why can we say that this kasra, yes, that's the keyword. The harful jar can affect only one word, the word that F comes right after. It cannot affect anymore. It's done. It only has one ticket. So he used that ticket in this word. Okay, his harmful jar business is finished. Now, if anything else get kasra, it has to be for a different reason. One of them we learned is, what we learned that if it was an adjective, then of course it's going to follow it. But here it's not adjective because first, number one, the meaning doesn't make sense. If the people cannot be the adjective of Jannah, you have to look at the meaning also. You have the nas is people and Jannah is Jannah. So it cannot be the human Jannah, subhanAllah, right? So it's not an adjective because we have wow. Wow is and. So it's talking about two different things. So bottom line is, it's something that I never mentioned, but I wanted you guys to think about. After and, just like English, after and, whatever the role the previous one were playing in a sentence, the role will be the same thing. For example, if I say, I saw a boy and a girl. So the boy is object because I saw the boy. What about the girl? Because I'm saying I saw a boy and a girl. The boy is object, whatever the girl is also object. So we see that after and, the role stays the same. Same thing, you can say the Muhammad and Khalid came to school. So of course the Muhammad is subject, so is the Khalid. Trust me, in Arabic, we have a whole different sections on this concept of wow. So since we're not talking about, this is something that I'm pretty sure is very easy to understand. So I'm explaining to you right now. There's nothing else to say in this point other than after wow, any kinds of conjunctions, like for example, wow, or even or, you understand, even after or. Anyway, just right now, just think about and. It grammatical role will be the same. We're not saying about anything else, guys. We're not saying about the the gender. We're just saying the grammatical role would be the same because we understand same thing goes with English. So here, whatever the grammatical role was for the before, we have wow conjunction, harful atf in Arabic. It says its role has to be the same thing. So if you just give me a simple answer because of wow, that's fine. Okay, that's good enough. If you say well, because of wow, that's fine. So otherwise, after learning all of these things, you'll be confused. Wow, when do I get why this kasra is here? So now it's not very difficult, right? You understand? So inshallah, I think you'll get it, and that's why as you can see, same case, same situation here. So we have rihla is the trip, rihlat shita, okay, shita is winter, and as-sayf is summer. So it's talking about the trip of the winter, and why am I getting a kasra? Because of the end, because of wow. Whatever came before in terms of grammar, it has to follow. So right now, just think about your common sense perspective, because trust me, there are a lot of things to say about this thing in terms of when we're studying it, but we're not studying it. So just we can use our normal understanding. I think you guys will be fine. Understand? Otherwise, we've came this far, and just because of this wow, we're not understanding why we have a kasra. Now Make sense, guys? Why do I have kasra here? And that will be my last question from this chapter. Yes, because of wow. Get it? That means the previous one has to have the same situation. Yes, excellent. Good. Uh, Great. You guys are great. That's fine. Guys, this whole noun business part is, as I have been keep on mentioning, it goes back to these four attributes, guys. This is the whole thing we're still studying about. The noun, we have to understand these four things. As soon as we're done with this four thing, our first journey with the nouns are finished. Then we will be moving on to the verbs. Okay, so let's see where are we? We learned about the gender, right? We talked about gender. So noun having a gender, right? Alhamdulillah, I think you guys understand. Then we spent some time talking about definiteness, right? We talked about the definiteness. Now make sure to add one more thing to your definite list, which is, I don't want to say it without, because if you know, I'll mention something, but right now let's just say إضافة can also be a definite. Okay, most of the time it will be definite. Inshallah, maybe at the end I will just mention something. And we talked about grammar. So when we talked about grammar, what did we say? What did we say we mean about grammar? Guys, we said that what we mean about grammar is that a word having at the end of the word, sometimes it can be a dhamma, sometimes it can be a kasra, sometimes it can be a fatha. So the whole thing is that that ending tells us something about the grammar, very important. Okay, and we said in noun we have three of them. Okay, so we have marfu, which is the nominative case in English, and the sign of that state is the dhamma. Okay, so we say when we have a dhamma, we say this is in the nominative case. And then we have accusative case, which is mansub, and the sign is fatha. You have to memorize like this, guys. You have to memorize like this. And then we have a genitive, which is majrur, and we identify that thing is using what? We using kasra, right? Then what did we say? We started learning when to, okay, fine. So now that I know a word can be fatha, dhamma, and kasra, we said the dhamma, we put dhamma when the word is playing a role of a subject. And dhamma, we also put when the word is playing a role of a predicate. Okay, so these two right now should be tattooed in your mind. And you can also put here just, something that, most grammar book doesn't talk about like this, but I really think this is very important. You can also think about, I don't know, as a default, whatever that means, by default, you want to put a dhamma. Okay, so going beyond default, you have to know the role of that word. Okay, so this is clear. So we put right now there are many other cases, guys. It's not complete list. Definitely not complete list. But the things that we studied, that's what we know. We know both subject and predicate. They get a dhamma, and we call it is marfu state or marfu. So what about fatha? When do we put fatha? And we said we'll study about fatha more in details later. But we talked about that when something is an object, then we put a fatha. Now it's clear. We see, now we started just by these two information, we kind of see the beauty of this whole thing. Because now we know, yes, we want to do that. We want to differentiate between the subject and also the object. Here we differentiate between subject and predicate is by the definiteness, right? We talked about this one. But in the verb, we differentiate by fatha. Inshallah, something that we'll talk about. But there's one thing I also mentioned. What gets a fatha? Who can remember? I'll give you a hint. Before I give you a hint, let me see if anybody else can, not something that you know, something that I mentioned. I mentioned the hint that I'm going to give you. I mentioned in when we have this vocabulary session. It is when, remember we said adverb. No, adverb. Everybody forgot? Remember what we said? The most of the adverbs gets a fatha. Laylan. Okay, nightly. Yawman. When I'm studying it, but the idea, if you can keep it in your mind, that's very nice. Inshallah, we'll study a lot more in detail later. So you say yawman, daily. Yes. So, it's not something that we're too much interested in right now, but, if you have this knowledge, it's very useful. when you see verses, you see something like that, you might be able to pick them up. So that's what we have so far, and inshallah we will study a lot more. And then we talked about when to put kasra. Now this one I can tell you a little bit more in details because we did spend a lot of time, and I can also tell you that in the entire Arabic grammar, in entire Arabic language, there are only 2 times we put a kasra. Guys, there are a lot of times we put dhamma, not only subject and predicate. We'll learn a lot more. And the places when you put fatha, there are lots more places. We have to memorize them, we have to learn them. But there are only 2 times we put a kasra. And what are they? Who can tell me? We learned both of them. Yes, after preposition, after prep, and what? And when you say idafa, it's still confusing because I don't know in idafa, but the second word, that's the keyword. The second word of the idafa, like meaning mudaf ilayhi, not the first word. Remember, the first word can be dhamma, kasra, fatha. Yes, that's the idea. These are the 2. I'll just write simple. Second word, the better word is mudaf ilayhi. These are the only 2 times in entire Arabic language we put kasra. So see, this is nice. Now you feel like you know everything there is to know about idafa or about the kasra. I mean, you know everything about the kasra, which is true. That is the case. But then you also know that we had kasra for 2 other reasons. Those would be what you call a chain reaction, so to speak. What are the 2 chain reactions we learned that you get a kasra? Or something like causing because of some other reasons? One of them was adjective. What is the second one? I just gave you today. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't write this to confuse you, because we should study the adjective separately, because adjective will do what? Adjective will just copy it. So, because in a grammar book, that's how they will teach you. That they will teach you that you get a kasra because of these 2, and you will get kasra because of adjective, but I think that is not good for the beginner students. Beginner students just think about these as a separate issue, and adjective is a separate issue. Adjective is we're saying we're not doing any grammar on this, we're just copying it. You understand? So we're simply just copying those rules. So think from that perspective. And wow, which we also mentioned, wow could be fatha, it could be dhamma, it could be kasra. Okay, let me see if you understand. When a word after wow, think about my question very carefully. When a word after wow will get a fatha, who can answer this one? The answer is very simple, so don't think it's complicated. When would a word after wow get a fatha? Exactly, if the word before wow has a fatha. That's the whole thing. So the wow is not making it kasra. The wow is just following what was before, just like the adjective does. Adjective can also have fatha if the noun had a fatha. Exactly. So bottom line is, guys, in terms of kasra, when to put kasra, we only put kasra after prepositions and the second word of idafa, which is mudaf ilay. That's it, guys. That's all you have to know at this point. And that is the case with the kasra. But for the other ones, inshallah, we'll learn the list will get longer. Okay, the list will get longer. Okay, you understand? So this is what we mean by grammar. Grammar is the ending of the word, and we have to change based on the rules that we learn. So that completes our initial discussion about the 3rd attributes of a noun. What's left? Left is another big one, which is number. And as soon as we talk about number and we wrap up about numbers, in the basic level, inshallah, we'll be done with the nouns. And then we can start talking about the verbs, which is really, really exciting. And something should be really refreshing for you guys. Okay, so I will not start with the number today. Inshallah, we'll talk about next time. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask me now. Okay, so numbers would be our next big topic. It might take 2-3 weeks for sure.